It's January 2025, and it's time to look back to what happened with commercial aviation in 2024. It was a dramatic year. Sadly, many lives were lost. My thoughts go to the affected families. While it is not fun to discuss accidents, there are lessons to be learned. Hello aviators, Happy New Year! My name is Magnar Nordahl. I'm an ATR captain and instructor. Commercial aviation has a good safety record. Every day, there are more than 100,000 commercial flights, transporting more than 12 million people every single day. Last year, more than 4 billion people traveled by air. In 2024, the Aviation Safety Network recorded 190 incidents and accidents. When we exclude aircraft with less than 19 passenger seats, or a similar cargo capacity, accidents caused the loss of 326 lives. That is less than 1 in 10 million, and while this is an impressive number, especially when you consider that an aircraft cannot simply pull over and wait for help in the event of an emergency. However, 326 lives lost is still 326 too many. An accident rarely happens because of a single error. In most cases, they are the result of a chain of events. Therefore, it takes time to analyze every accident and identify the chain of events that contributed to the accident. My hope is that we can learn from the mistakes that have occurred, as we don't have the luxury to learn from every mistake we might otherwise make. An accident is defined as an event resulting in significant damage or personal injury. When you look at Aviation Safety Network, the most common accidents were runway excursions, with a total of 18, followed by 12 tail strikes. Other accidents involved hard landings. Most of them were not fatal. Other accidents caused little or no damage, but resulted in the loss of human life. Among commercial transport aircraft, there were 15 fatal accidents involving 14 different aircraft types. 6 of the accidents happened after loss of control in flight. Runway excursion caused 3 accidents, while technical failures resulted in 2 accidents. One fatal accident was caused by a runway incursion, one was a mid-air collision, one was caused by turbulence, and the last was the result of an act of war. These accidents occurred across 15 different countries, 6 in Asia, 3 in Europe, 3 in Africa, 2 in North America, and 1 in South America. On the 2nd of January, an Airbus 350 from Japan Airlines, carrying 379 people, landed on runway 34 right at Tokyo Haneda Airport and collided with a Japan Coast Guard Dash 8 with 6 people on board. Both aircraft caught fire. All passengers and crew aboard the Airbus were able to evacuate safely before the aircraft was consumed by the flames. Sadly, 5 of the 6 people in the Dash 8 perished, with the captain surviving with serious injuries. This accident occurred after sunset. The preliminary report indicates that the stop bar lights for runway 34 right were out of service due to ongoing renovation work. The Dash 8 crew had received the following clearance from the control tower. Number 1, taxi to holding point Charlie 5. This was correctly read back by the first officer. However, the captain later recalled the tower's message differently, stating that it was runway 34 right, line up and wait, you are number 1. This accident highlights the risks associated with night operations. When you are on short final, it is incredibly difficult to see aircraft standing on the runway. Neither did the controller in the tower see the Dash 8 lining up on the runway. Before further conclusions can be drawn, we must wait for the final report. On the 18th, a Fokker 50 from Jeju Airlines went off the runway and collided with a house on Selbarde airstrip in Somalia. The captain sustained fatal injuries, while the first officer and 2 passengers survived. The aircraft was transporting humanitarian aid on behalf of the United Nations World Food Programme. 5 days later, on the 23rd, a British airspace, Jetstream 32 from Northwestern Air lost altitude and collided with terrain shortly after takeoff from Fort Smith Airport in Canada. 2 crew members and 4 passengers sustained fatal injuries. 1 remaining occupant survived with light injuries. On the 5th of March, a de Havilland Canada-8 from Safari Link Aviation with 44 people on board collided mid-air with a Cessna 172 near Nairobi Wilson Airport in Kenya. The Dash 8 sustained minor damage and landed safely. The Cessna crashed, killing both occupants. On the 23rd of April, a Douglas C-54, that's the cargo version of the DC-4, from Alaska Airfuel crashed after departure from Fairbanks Airport in Alaska. Surveillance video shows white smoke behind the number 1 engine, followed by flames. Seconds later, a bright white explosion was seen just behind the number 1 engine, followed by fragments falling to the ground. The airplane then began an uncontrolled descent into terrain. The number 1 engine separated from the wing about 100 feet above the ground. On the 21st of May, 1 passenger died when a Boeing 777 from Singapore Airlines, while en route from London to Singapore, encountered severe turbulence over Myanmar. 30 other occupants suffered injuries as well. At the most extreme, the vertical acceleration changed from minus 1.5 g to plus 1.5 g within 4 seconds. The aircraft diverted to Bangkok. On the 12th of July, a Sukhoi Superjet 100 from Gazpromavia crashed, killing all 2 crew members when control was lost after takeoff from Lukovitsky Tretyakovo airport near Moscow. I hope I pronounced it correct. This was a ferry flight after maintenance. The report says that because of faulty angle of attack sensors, the air data computers registered the angle of attack to be 5 degrees higher than the actual angle of attack. This prompted the stall protection system to deflect the aircraft's nose down, despite the pilots were trying to pull the nose up to avoid the crash. On the 24th, a Bombardier CRJ-200 from Jeju Airlines crashed shortly after takeoff from Kathmandu Airport in Nepal, killing 18 of the 19 occupants. The passengers were employees of the company. This aircraft had been on the ground for 34 days before the event flight, and this was a ferry flight to another airport to conduct maintenance. During departure, the aircraft over-rotated, and when airborne, it rolled to the right, then to the left, before it rolled right to 94 degrees bank and hit the ground. According to the preliminary report, the flight data recorder indicated normal engine parameters, and the investigation will now focus on the following. 1. Interviews with the ground personnel of the company revealed that the operator was not complying with the aircraft weight, loading, and securing of load requirements stipulated in the operations manual. 2. The takeoff speeds listed in the operational flight plan of the event flight, as well as recorded in the flight data recorder, were inconsistent with the Quick Reference Handbook. On the 8th of August, a de Havilland Canada DHC-5 Buffalo from Nyasa Air Charters landed on Pieri Payam airstrip in South Sudan, veered off the side of the runway and impacted some buildings, bursting into flames. The pilot suffered minor injuries, but there were 3 fatalities on the ground. The day after, on the 9th, an ATR 72-500 from Voepass Linhas Aéreas crashed near Sao Paulo in Brazil, killing all 62 occupants. The preliminary report revealed that the aircraft flew into icing conditions with failed wing de-icing boots. The crew did not react to many low-speed alerts, including the stall alert. The aircraft stalled, and full rudder was applied together with full power, resulting in a flat spin. I have made a video about the preliminary report and a video analyzing the animation based on data from the flight data recorder. You find links below. On the 20th of October, a de Havilland Canada DHC-6 Twin Otter from Sam Air stalled while turning final to runway 27 at Bumi Panwa, Buhuwatu Airport in Indonesia, killing all 4 on board. This appears to be a stall spin accident. On the 25th of November, a Boeing 737-400 from Swiftair impacted terrain while on approach to runway 19 at Vilnius International Airport in Lithuania. 1 pilot was killed. The other pilot and 2 passengers survived. We are still waiting for the preliminary report. December proved to be the most devastating month of the year. In just 1 week, 3 fatal accidents claimed the lives of 218 people. On the 23rd, an Airbus 220 operated by Swiss International Airlines while en route from Budapest to Zurich, engine number 1 suffered a mechanical failure. This caused oil leaking into the air conditioning system and smoke filled the cabin. The flight crew made an emergency descent and diverted to Graz Airport in Austria. The aircraft landed safely 19 minutes later. 1 flight attendant received serious injuries and died in hospital 1 week later. Both pilots and 2 flight attendants were taken to the hospital. 13 of the passengers received minor injuries. The air conditioning system receives air from the engine compressor, and if a seal is damaged, the engine oil can enter air conditioning system and the cabin. Engine oil is very toxic. You don't even want it to touch your skin. If you get smoke from the air conditioning system, switch it off immediately and put on the oxygen mask as soon as possible. Only 2 days later, on the 25th, an Embraer ERJ-190 from Azerbaijan Airlines hit the ground near Almaty Airport in Kazakhstan. The aircraft was carrying 62 passengers and 5 crew members, and the accident claimed the lives of 38 of them. ADS-B data and video footage revealed the aircraft experienced control problems before it impacted the ground. An access door in the empennage was also seen in open position before the crash. Pictures of the empennage after the crash revealed impact holes from a missile that had exploded in the proximity of the aircraft. Videos taken by the passengers show damages in the cabin as well as a damaged twelve flap actuator fairing. The aircraft had departed Baku in Azerbaijan and performed flight 8243 to Grozny in Russia. At the time they arrived Grozny, the GPS was jammed, and Russian air defense systems were firing on Ukrainian drones in the area. According to an unverified and unconfirmed ATC transcript, Flight 8243 requested an NDB approach to runway 26 because they had lost the GPS signal. At 0450 UTC, the flight was cleared to land. Flight 8243 then carried out a go-around and received vectors for a second NDB approach to runway 26. After a second go-around, the flight crew radioed they were returning to Baku. At 0516 UTC, the flight crew informed they had a control failure. At 0522 UTC, the flight reported that the hydraulics had failed. The aircraft diverted to Almaty in Kazakhstan, where the weather was much better. While attempting to land, the aircraft hit the ground. The fuselage broke apart, and the forward section was further damaged by fire. There were 29 survivors. Then, on the 29th of December, a Boeing 737-800 from Jeju Air was on approach to Muan International Airport in South Korea, when the crew declared an emergency, bird strike, and that they were going around. A video shows a puff of smoke from engine number 2. Just 3 minutes later, the aircraft landed gear up on the middle of the runway. This picture shows where the skid marks from the engine nacelle started. The landing distance available was 2,500 meters. Remaining runway after touchdown was about 1,250 meters. Neither the flaps, spoilers, or landing gear were extended. However, engine number 2 reverse was deployed. The aircraft skidded off the runway at high speed, hit a concrete wall 260 meters from the runway end, disintegrated and burst into flames. 179 of the 181 occupants perished. There are so many questions about this accident. I will not even start to speculate. There are so many things that don't add up. The authorities in South Korea has already started the blame game, even before the facts are on the table. The punishment culture doesn't help. Without knowing what happened with the aircraft and why the crew acted as they did, we do not know what corrective action should be taken to prevent this from happening again. But there is one question that requires an answer right away. Why was there a 2 meters tall wall made of reinforced concrete, covered with a dirt mound under the localizer antenna? And why are there similar installations at other airports in South Korea? Such structures are supposed to be built with a weak link that break off when hit by an aircraft. In 2015, an Airbus A320 from Azerbaijan Airlines landed short of runway 28 at Hiroshima Airport and hit the localizer antenna. The aircraft was damaged, but there were no fatalities. As we reflect on accidents of 2024, it is clear they could have been prevented in one way or another. Today it's easy to play a blame game after such events, but doing so doesn't necessarily improve flight safety. What we strive for is a just culture. Honest errors do happen. The goal of accident investigation is to understand what happened, enabling us to implement measures to ensure it won't happen again. We want to fill the holes in the Swiss cheese model. In the end, it all comes down to human factors. How we design, build and maintain aircraft and facilities. How we train people, how we adhere to procedures and respect limitations. I hope that 2025 brings safer skies for us all. Thank you for watching, have a wonderful day and happy landing.
200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20,